Welcome, Rope Breakers. We are live for Rope Break Radio. Rope Break Radio? That's not happening anymore. We're living in the past. Rope Break Radio isn't here. This is React. And if you're missing some Rope Break Radio, don't get too upset because we got a couple other things on the horizon. That being the Sharpshoot.
Oh hell, son!
With the one, the only Aussie. Yeah, you thought you were seeing something? You thought you were seeing a ghost? No, that is the one, the only Oz, back at the debate desk, live for React. We're also here with Randy Hill. And as you can tell, the host of React after Raw, Alec, could not be here. He sends his love to all the rope breakers, but you got me instead, so I apologize for that. I am the guest host for this evening. I am, as always, Matt Donato. Let's just start this thing. I mean, first things first, all I gotta say is, what the fuck? That is my reaction right now. A lot of craziness happening on Raw. I know we have some mixed reactions, not only on our Rope Break Facebook page, but also within the panel. So I think we should get this thing kicked off here, and I want to know what you guys thought about that opening segment with Cena coming out. You know, we had the Hall of Fame panel, Hogan, HBK, and Aussie favorite, woo, the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Woo! For the record, he's not Aussie's favorite, but that's for a completely different show.
Yeah, and, I mean, if I can interject there about Ric Flair, to be the man. No. There's something missing here, fellas, and I think, Matt, you know it. Randy, you know what has to happen here. After one long week and a cookie sheet to the dome, we can say, finally, the Oz has come back to Rope Break React. Go on, jabroni.
That was
and if
a
you're
better
not down with that,
we got 2 words for you. Rope break. That is an introduction. I could not have done that any better. Awesome introduction. That's right. Aussie is back. And if you don't understand what we're saying by he's back, go check out our Raw preview show. He got taken out, as he said, got hit in the dome with a cookie sheet, taken out by none other than Nick, the Cena fan. I know there's been a lot of questions regarding that, but figure it out for yourself. I know some people aren't sure whether he's good or bad. Also, you don't really care for him too much. I mean, after getting hit in the head with a cookie sheet, would you? Doesn't care for him. It's up for you to decide, but that's for a completely different show. This is React after Raw. We're not talking about that. That's over with.
Well, hell, son, why don't we talk about Raw?
That's what I'm. Oh, Stone Cold. Stone Cold. Thank you for joining us. That's
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Stone Cold Steve Austin. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. All right.
Yes.
So anyway, back to that opening segment with Hogan, Flair, HBK, and then Cena coming out. What did you guys think about that?
Well, hell, son, if I might say that I think that segment was a complete waste. And quite frankly, if Austin 316 was in there, he might just open a can of whoop ass on all 3. But no, seriously. I did think that segment absolutely sucked. Terrible opening to Raw for me. And you want to know why? It's because people get so excited and ready, like, oh, here we go, HBK, Flair, Hogan, and it wasn't interesting at all. I mean, they had a fucking announce table up there. An announce table. Wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, they even had the plastic cover on there and shit. It just was like, what's going on here? It just felt too staged. Like, who the hell comes out, like, 3 grown men just randomly come out and sit in the middle of a ring and just start a random discussion about a match? Like, I don't really understand. There was no Michael Cole or anybody really to like mitigate the conversation. It was just kind of like these three guys just sit down and start shooting the shit on TV for no reason. It just felt weird to me. I didn't like it. I thought it was a waste of an opening segment. That might have been like a segment to have before the main event or something like that for me. When the show's a little more established, I just didn't care for it. Randy?
I completely agree with the fact that that segment was a complete waste of fucking time. The only good thing about that is Flair came out sober.
Well, that's questionable.
Yeah, to the best of our knowledge.
Maybe.
And I have to tell
maybe.
you, if I can jump back in real quick, I got a cheap pop on our Twitter page here because we do live tweet at Rope Break Wrestling. I had to go out there and say, Flair offered to blade during the promo. Hashtag busted open. Hashtag Raw. I could have just pictured Hogan saying Cena's gonna win, brother, and then the camera pans over and Flair's all bloody. Woo! 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 Woo!
Well, that table that they had was secretly the Spanish announce table in Cameo. Secretly.
it was in hiding, or maybe it was prior. I'm in agreement with both of you. I thought the segment was bullshit. My reasoning, one, obviously we don't need Hogan, HBK, and Flair to sell this match. You know what? This match shouldn't even be happening. I don't even think Cena should be coming back on TV. I think he should just be off TV. There's no reader feud because they can't drop all that bullshit. You know what? Build other main eventers and stop relying on Cena, and you wouldn't have this fucking problem. You know, it's just unnecessary for him to come out. Unnecessary for him to be in another match with Lesnar. The fact that he comes out as if nothing happened, it's only been, 2 weeks?
They could have at least played it off.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is he did not even come out and, show any fatigue or injury or anything. I mean, dude just got his ass whooped, like you guys said, and then 2 weeks later he's all...
Yeah, exactly. He could have at least come out with some makeup on his eye, like he had a black eye or something. They could have done something with that whole thing. The fact that he was completely fine was total BS. They could have had him in a cast or something, at least something.
A limp.
Yes.
How about you come out not as enthusiastic, maybe a little more serious, I don't know, like with no smile, like, like you just got your ass whooped 2 weeks ago. And, I understand why he was smiling, though. I mean, most people that are getting a blowjob are going to smile, and let's be honest, Hulk Hogan was doing just that, as he always does for John Cena. I
also want to point
out, turn the channel.
I also want to point out that this disgusted me in and of itself, is that I never noticed this before, and everybody's always like, oh, Sting's wearing Hogan colors, but they are just like a shade of the same red and yellow. They are exactly the same fucking red and yellow as Hogan was wearing. I'm like, nobody wants to compare these two, but they're obviously wearing the same fucking colors. And like you said, freaking orgy going on right there between the two of them, and freaking probably Flair's involved. It's just ridiculous. All right, we spent way too long on the ranting about Cena and this bullshit opening segment. Man, where else do we go? How about freaking Mark Henry? I thought he was feuding with, maybe it was just me, but as of last week, I was pretty sure he was feuding with Rusev. First, I thought he was going to be a tag team with Big Slow, which was a tag team that absolutely nobody wanted. And then he's going to feud with Rusev, and now he's back again, but now he's back with Big Slow, and now Jack Swagger's again feuding. I'm just confused on that.
Well, if I might, step in and say, it's been announced that on, and semi-spoiler alert here, it's been announced that on the European tour that's coming up, I believe it's in November, Rusev will be working with Big Show. So I'm not sure, what the idea is there with them, with Big Show, Mark Henry, Rusev, like, they're big. Put them in the ring together.
Yeah.
Two big guys. That'll be a great match. No, actually, it'll absolutely suck, and that'll be a piss break match. Shit, you might even be able to take a full length shit during one of those matches because they might suck that bad.
Yep.
And a little bit of info from Aaron Mason on YouTube here. Aaron, always a good viewer of our show here, says, I wish Hogan was backing Cena a lot more because Hogan could almost turn on him if Cena lost. And then he said, ignore that, probably right after we shit on the fact that Hogan was all, come here, brother. Come here, brother.
I see where he's coming from, though. I completely understand. Like, almost like fake loving Cena. Like,
Well, maybe it would
over
work
the
if it
top.
went the other way. Maybe it would work if Cena turned on Hogan. I mean, then
That's what it honestly felt like that, because when he called out Hogan and said, I want you to look me in the eyes, that was kind of almost like calling Hogan personally out in a sense. Even though it was done in a babyface manner, it still was kind of, I know there was a couple people on our Facebook page who were like, Cena heel turn, and I'm just like, probably not, but
And
I'm
I
not going to
think
complain.
that was, I really think that when he said, look, I want you to look me in the eye, that was directed to all three of them. I think the fact that he had just addressed Hogan right before he said that made it seem like he was saying it directly to Hogan. But I think it was meant for all three of them, because if you notice, right after he said that, he looked at Michaels and then kind of scanned the other two. Like, I mean, obviously, we'll never really know the answer to that, but that's just what I gathered from it.
That's true. So really quickly, because we need to power past this one, what did you guys think of the Rusev Swagger match? Did you enjoy it?
I personally did not.
It was okay. I mean, I still like the fact that Rusev is pretty good at selling the ankle injury. But other than that, this feud has lost a lot of fizz. I think it reached its peak at SummerSlam. It was a good battle there, and I think the time is to stop. The problem is Swagger just can't sustain any steam, in my opinion. It's like I understand they want to get him sympathy, babyface sympathy, by having him lose and shit like that, and having him pass out. But I think he's just lost his steam in that feud. I think Rusev, another one bites the dust. Rusev should be on to the next one now.
Honestly, I don't think it was babyface sympathy when he passed out. I think it was more they were trying to make him look tough, like he didn't, like he almost. And on one of the Raw Reacts, I actually alluded to this. It kind of reminded me of Bret Hart, Stone Cold. No, I'm not comparing the four, not even in the least. But it kind of reminded me of the WrestleMania.
Yeah, it was supposed to. It was supposed to.
That's kind of what it reminded me of, where he was tough, kind of lost his steam. Nothing really special about it. I know Alec himself said that he really liked it and they had good chemistry. He messaged me on that. I didn't think it was terrible. I thought it was one of the better matches of the night, and that's not really saying too much, in my opinion. But I think we can all kind of agree that none of it was a match. So moving I want to talk about this really quickly. I want to just touch on this because I know a couple people on our Facebook page disagree with it. But first of all, I really like the Miz's character. I think it fits him perfect. And I really actually like that he brought Damian Mizdow out. I thought that was pretty good. I alluded to this on Facebook. I really think that they should go along with this, and I think that for a lot of the Miz's matches, they should have some sort of stunt double out there with him to do all the Miz's matches. I just feel like that would be a gold way to get him over as a heel and to really further his character. I think that would fit perfectly if he did for a lot of his matches. And I know I got some heat for that on the Facebook page.
Somebody
on the Facebook page was. I don't like the Miz's character. I don't think it's good, and I think the only reason he gets heat is because he's not doing it well, and I completely disagree with that. I think he's doing it well. It fits him perfect, and I really am enjoying his character thus far.
Yeah, I agree. 110%. I liked the stunt double thing as well. I didn't like the fact that it was Damien Sandow, because that delegitimizes it in the fact that it goes from being like, oh, this guy is a tool, to, oh, ha ha ha, it's funny, Damien Sandow again. Oh, look at him, he's out in Mrs. Jacket. That's funny. It should have been like somebody that we don't even know or something like that. You know what I mean?
I
Like
completely agree.
some
It should have
random.
been like an actual stunt double from one of his movies.
That's what I was expecting when he said that, and I was kind of hoping that was what was going to happen, but we got Sandow, and I completely agree with you. Especially Randy, what do you think about it?
Well, the only thing that got me was the
sorry.
fact that he was actually wearing the Miz's fucking gear, man. That I was like, how much did they pay you to wear the Miz's ring gear? And above all that, he came out wearing that fucking curtain that he was wearing last week, which was absolutely retarded. I don't even know what to think about Damien Sandow anymore. He's buried himself so far into the ground that he has no breathing room left. No breathing room left. He has buried himself that far.
Well, I wouldn't say he's buried himself. I mean, I think he's just doing what he's told. But ever since that title loss to Cena, yeah, I don't even remember a time when I actually, and Matt can attest to this, I don't even remember when I actually liked Damien Sandow, because I did like Damien Sandow, and I thought he actually had some legitimate potential as, and don't laugh at me, as a potential future world heavyweight champion. I thought that his gimmick reminded me a lot of the Hunter Hearst Helmsley gimmick, the intellectual savior gimmick, and I thought that he could have broken out of that and become sort of like a Triple H style character. I'm not saying he's going to become the game, anywhere near Triple H's level, but I thought he could have broken out of that character, and they just kind of fucked him over on it. And now he's doing what he's doing. But I think going back to, the whole segment, I just think that they had a legitimate opportunity to get Miz some more heat, and they just decided to turn it into a comedy angle. And I think that's what some of the writing is lacking. That's where you can see the writing is lacking a little bit on Raw.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also, you're right, I can attest to that. I like Damien Sandow, too. There was a point where I agree with you. I felt the same way. And then that whole angle where I thought that would have been a perfect opportunity for him to, because he even said, if I lose, then I'll quit. That would have been the perfect opportunity for him to quit and then come back almost repackaged as a more aggressive Damien Sandow. Drop the ball. There was so much stuff that they could have done with him that they just didn't, and now we get this shit, and it's, I like the guy, and I thought he had a lot of potential, but...
And Aaron Mason on YouTube says, I thought the stunt double would have been Alex Riley, to be honest. I'm
not going to lie.
That was the first thing
that crossed my mind. Yeah, it was like, oh, I was going to say it to my face. Oh, shit. He's going to need to come out with, like, a briefcase. His fucking Letterman jacket. And he's going to stuff nerds in lockers.
I think, to be perfectly honest with you, though, and I know that, we're not at this point in the show yet, but to be perfectly honest with you, I just want to make a big point here, and I already, expressed my views on the show before we went on air. I wasn't too big of a fan of this episode, and, now that I'm reading this point, I can say this Raw did not include Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, Chris Jericho, Randy Orton, or Paul Heyman. We're building to something that they're saying is going to be, one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year because they want that network buy rate to go up. How can you leave all of that talent off of the show. We're talking arguably the two biggest heels in the company, in Heyman and McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, Triple H, Chris Jericho, one of the biggest faces, and then Randy Orton, a talent that speaks for himself. So it's kind of mind-boggling that none of that talent was on Raw. I mean, do you guys think? I mean, what do you think of that? Do you think they dropped the ball, or like somebody's on vacation, or what's the deal?
I'm wondering if they're not. See, now that you say that, because I, honestly didn't even realize it until you read that off. But I feel like they're trying to see what would happen, because that's a lot of names to not be on the show at the same exact time. So it feels almost as if they're testing the waters to see if they could handle the show without them being on it. You know what I mean? Trying to further other storylines.
Sorry to interject, but the way I see it is they must have been doing something. They must have needed the time off, and I think that is why they went out and got Hogan, Flair, and Michaels to step in to be that draw in the opening of the show, and I think it backfired. I think it sucked.
I completely agree.
They're doing a be a star rally somewhere in some fucking. That's another thing. Really, really quickly, when they take heels that are legitimate heels and then they do some kind of charity event on social media and it completely ruins the effect. Like, I get it that it's cool to do charity. That's great, but I mean, look at a guy like fucking Heyman. And if you haven't seen his Ice Bucket Challenge, I retweeted it on our page to go check that out. He did a perfect job at still maintaining his heel status and doing stuff for charity. People will still hate him after because he didn't technically do the challenge. People are like, oh, this fat Jew didn't even do the challenge.
Way to ruin
it. He did it perfectly. God. What a jerk. Yeah, but they don't know who did the challenge.
You're not a good friend.
For that, you're going to have to go. You're not... But I just feel like that just annoys me when I see, like, immediately following Stephanie McMahon's match at SummerSlam, she does the Ice Bucket Challenge and puts it all over Twitter. It's like, are you shitting me? Like, how are you going to legitimize yourself as a heel and legitimize that victory if you're going to do something charitable? And not even, like, try to mask it as a heel. You just do it and then smile and, like, yay, I love charity. Like, really?
Yeah, but you want to know something?
It's a waste.
I kind of have a counterpoint there, not just to play devil's advocate, but I actually feel this way, is that Stephanie McMahon does a good job at being a heel without being a heel. She comes off just naturally as a bitch.
Exactly.
And I think that she can get away with that stuff off screen because I don't think she overly does it on the show. I think she almost comes off like she doesn't know she's a bitch. Like she's just doing, you know what I mean? Like that we all know one guy or one girl that's just a complete asshole, and they act like they have no clue that they're an asshole. You know what I mean? I feel like Stephanie McMahon is that person that's like, oh, see, I give it to charity. I'm nice. Fuck you.
Well, I honestly think that even if I'm sorry to interrupt you there, man, but
that was a perfect transition.
Even if they were to try to push Stephanie McMahon as a face, I don't think she could do it. I honestly, because it's like you said, she gives off the natural vibe of being a bitch. She really does. Even if she's heel or face, I don't think she could pull off being a face. With how much of a bitch she's been the past year and a half, she couldn't do it. I don't believe she could do it. She could not pull off being a face. And I haven't seen the Ice Bucket Challenge that she's done because I honestly, after seeing like the 40th one on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, I kind of just I gave up watching them because they're all the same. It's people dumping ice on their head. I gave up on it. I mean, I understand it's for charity and everything, but I gave up on it. The last one I think I've seen was the one that Maurice did, and that was it. Literally, that was it. Yes.
That's all you need. That's the only one you need to see.
Well, no, there is one other one we gotta go out and see is Velvet Sky and Bubba Ray Dudley, aka Bully Ray. That one is a close second to Maurice. You got to check
Oh, boy.
that one out.
I will definitely check that one out. Just quickly to wrap up, I do agree with you as far as Stephanie McMahon goes. You're absolutely right on that point. Maybe using her as the example wasn't the best, because you're right. That heel who doesn't really know or pretends to not know that she's a heel kind of thing going on, and it does work for her. But realistically, as far as other heels go on the show, people who are not like that, people who are just straight heels, to go and do charity events, to be a star event, just doesn't make any sense to me. And they do that quite often, and they post about it on their heel status on the show, and people see them being charitable, and they see that same guy, hitting a good guy over the head with a chair, hitting poor John Cena over the head with a chair. It's like, wait a minute. Now I'm confused. Maybe charity's bad. Maybe I shouldn't donate. No, that's getting way too into it. But my point is, I just don't care for that. That being said, wrap that part up because there's a couple of other things to talk about. Mainly, a lot of people hate it. And I'm curious to see what you guys think, and that is the Nikki and Brie Bella segment. Personally, and I'll throw it off to you. I'll just give my quick thoughts on it and throw it off to you guys. I didn't hate it as much as other people did. Now, I get where they're coming from. Nikki Bella is a better actress than Brie Bella. I think we can all agree on that. I won't speak for you guys, but
absolutely,
most people can agree with that. But with their acting aside, I was a little bit, turned off on it when it started. I'm like, I'm not really interested in the segment. Kind of started off a little bit hokey. I'm like, But as it progressed, and some people didn't even like the whole, the whole fetus thing was kind of odd. Not sure where that fits in, but I kind of really like the edginess of "I wish you died in the womb." I don't know about you guys, but I was like, "Fuck, that's harsh." I know it's TV scripted. I like the edginess of it, and I thought that it added an element to it, and then just her beating the shit out of her at the very end and slapping Jerry Lawler. I thought it was a I thought it was a great heel moment for Nikki, and Brie crying was just ridiculous. But that's a whole other story. That was nonsense.
I didn't even watch that.
As a whole, as far as the storyline goes, and following up on where it was, I mean, this isn't going to be a perfect storyline. Look, compared to where it is now, I'm happy. So I'm kind of taking what they're giving me right now for what it is. It's not the best segment we've ever gotten, but for what we have right now, it's not bad. And I think people are jumping the gun way too soon. This hasn't even had time to really simmer, and people need to just be patient. I don't know. What do you guys think? Throw it over to Randy because I know he's chomping on. He didn't even watch it. He took a piss break, so I guess we'll throw up and watch it.
Dude, I came after, like, right before that segment hit. I left whenever Jerry Lawler was talking, I think, about it, and then I came back and it was, what was right after that segment? What was that?
I don't even remember.
Fuck.
Was it Stardust?
Was it the Stardust and Goldust thing? Was it that?
I feel like it might have been. I think like Comic Relief or something.
Yeah, as a matter
of
fact, it was, I think. As a matter of fact, I think it was. And we'll get to that point here in a minute, but I didn't even watch it, and I've been scrolling on Facebook and Twitter, and I've been seeing a lot of negative comments about that kind of stuff, and the truth is Nikki really is the better actress, and I mean, I've seen screenshots of the face that Brie Bella made when she was crying, and I was like, oh my god, like how could something that, I mean, she's actually kind of cute if you want to give her that, but I mean, like, how could she make such an ugly face whenever she cries? Like, I've seen a lot of people have ugly faces when they cry, but that face was, oh my God, man, that was horrible. And I mean, it didn't even seem like she was really trying to legitimately cry. It was like poor acting crying, if you get what I'm trying to say there. Uh,
Yeah, I hear you with that. Yeah, it didn't work out well for her. Her acting wasn't that great. Trying to get her to cry on command and then just like scrunch up her face was just ridiculous. Um, and I mean, where that comes from, I get why people hated this segment, found it boring. But I'm looking at it from a storyline standpoint. I think it's a great storyline. I think it's interesting, and there were some edgy moments in it. I mean, her slapping Jerry Lawler, telling him to screaming at him to get out. I wish you died in the womb. I thought that was to me anyway. That was a
that
little
was
bit
a little
edgy.
anti-PG, if you want to go there.
Yeah,
That was a little
exactly.
un-PG.
Wishing death on somebody is not something you see in the PG era. So, what do you think about it?
Well, I'm gonna first off say that I think they missed an opportunity here, and this is me nitpicking, but they missed an opportunity to use a guy like Tom Phillips or Byron Saxton in there instead of Jerry Lawler. If you guys remember back in the day, Michael Cole, the coach, Jonathan Coachman, those were the guys always getting punked by the superstars. The Rock smacking Cole's hand in his face, doing the stuff that he did with Coach. Now, there's no reason that Jerry Lawler needs to be in there because, one, he is terrible at selling it as well. He was terrible. He just shows no enthusiasm on the mic when he introduces the segment. Same when he announces, what the fan votes were for, the different segments. Like last week, for instance, it was, the match between Rollins and Ambrose. He just strolls into the ring. All right, let's see what the WWE Universe chose for tonight's match.
Exactly.
Like, one, Tom Phillips or Byron Saxton could have benefited from getting a smack in the face by Nikki Bella like that. But but that's besides the point. My argument here is that Nikki Bella and Brie Bella, I feel terrible for them. They're taking way too much heat from everybody just because they've never been put in this position before. They've never had the chance to build their character. They've never had the chance to work on these skills. Remember, it's not like the Indies or the Performance Center for women. Like, for instance, a guy like Stone Cold Steve Austin or wherever goes to ECW, gets a chance to work on his promos, polishes himself before coming to the WWF. Divas, unless it's nowadays Indies divas like Paige or whatever before she came over, they don't get a chance. Somebody like the Bellas never got a chance to use the microphone before because women in wrestling don't always get to use the microphone. So now they finally get the chance, and everybody, is clearly not impressed because you're used to these guys that are polished and have all of this practice. The Performance Center, they have specific courses designed just around promos. The Bellas never got that. They're not actresses. They're wrestlers. And I know they take a lot of heat for, they're not good wrestlers. They actually are pretty good wrestlers for divas, regardless of what anybody thinks. I'm willing to debate on that with anybody. So they've gotten thrown into this, and I think that's why Stephanie McMahon has been there along the way to kind of hold their hands and keep the, be the support beam in these segments to where the house doesn't cave in. Tonight, no Stephanie McMahon, and the house caved in. They're not capable of holding a promo segment by themselves. I thought Nikki's acting was just as bad as Brie's, to be perfectly honest with you. Yeah, her voice comes off a little bit better when she's saying some of the things that she's saying, but none of it's believable to me, to be perfectly honest with you. And to have a good promo, you actually have to believe the words that are coming out of your mouth for the time being, and neither of them are willing to accept the fact that they're supposed to hate each other on the camera. So until they do that, I don't see this, really being interesting at all.
It goes back to the whole Paul Heyman and CM Punk thing. Like they they're still really good friends. And I mean, like, what do you think that they talk about after they go off the show? Like, are they like, I didn't hurt your feelings or nothing when I said that, did I? Or do you think it's just the script, or do you think that they have just? I agree with you whenever you say that Stephanie is there for like back support, but all in all, I don't get the fact that why did they have to make the Bella twins turn on each other? It just doesn't make any sense to me at all because they had the whole Daniel Bryan segment with the authority for like almost an entire year, and then they turn around and then they twist it up with Brie and Nikki Bella from a spinoff from the Daniel Bryan feud, and it's total garbage. I don't see it going anywhere. It's their wrestling is really good. I give you that, but the acting skills and everything like that is it's garbage, in my opinion.
Well, here's what I have to say, and I'm gonna wrap this up quick because we have two quick things to talk about before we go. But I don't think I like the Nikki Brie, the Nikki heel turn, feuding twins. I like that concept, and I'm really interested to see where it goes. I know it's not looking too great right now, and like I said, I didn't mind this segment tonight as much as I didn't hate. I should say I didn't hate it as much as everybody else. But I am interested to see where it goes. I do think that it has potential if they can do it right. And like Aussie said, and I completely agree with you, these girls got thrown into something that they're not used to. They're not used to having the spotlight on them like that. And like you said, like that's why having Stephanie McMahon in there to help them along, help them feel more confident, really goes a long way. And her not being there tonight, I think I agree with you. Really hurting the fact that she's not there to take it over if it starts to get dull. But I don't think that they're doing too bad. There's always room for improvement. I think it's not the worst scene. Trust me, it's not the worst Divas segment ever seen. There's been a lot of terrible ones.
Well, I wanna say one more thing about it, if you don't mind. And
Nope.
that is to kind of piggyback off one thing that Randy said. Is it scripted? Yeah. That is part of the problem right there because guess what? In today's day, or today's age of WWE, you don't get the mic and go out there and just say what you think should be said, what you feel from the heart, what you would say, how you would articulate it. Unless you're CM Punk or Paul Heyman, or probably John Cena. Nowadays, you have these writers that have written for reality TV, and blah blah blah, that are writing specific lines for you, and I think that's why it comes off that for those two overly rehearsed, just not very smooth, not very from the heart. I think it's totally to blame the fact that it's scripted. It's completely scripted. They don't have a chance to put any of themselves into it. It's, hey, Nikki, Brie's gonna say this, and then you're gonna say this, and then you're gonna slap her, and then you're gonna say this. You know what I mean? It's just not how it is for the guys. And then with that being said, there's one little point that I want to throw in here. One thing that can really bolster this feud and really make it something, and I'm reaching, as usual. When Daniel Bryan comes back, I want to see him get involved in this on Brie's side. And then, and I know we constantly just, set this up. And then John Cena is ready for his heel turn. Because all it takes is Daniel Bryan and Brie to gang up on, Nikki, or to fight the good fight against Nikki and Stephanie, and then Cena comes out to defend his girl. Typical man being clouded by his girlfriend, his judgment's clouded. He can come out, brutally attack Daniel Bryan or some shit, and then we can be set up for like a wicked WrestleMania match. Bryan versus Cena with the Bellas at their sides. I think that'd be pretty good. And it would keep Cena out of the title match.
That I agree with you. That would be that would definitely be interesting, and I wouldn't mind seeing that. One quick, we really have to move past this. You did say that you think that it would have been better to have Byron Saxton or what's his name, Tom Phillips. I don't even know that guy's name. I think it's his name. That to be in there with her, and I don't disagree with you on that because they could benefit from it. But I think it's a double-edged sword because I think what they were going for is having Jerry Lawler in there, which for what it's worth, he does get a good pop. I mean, there was a loud Jerry Lawler chant going on in the arena. I think that slap puts her over more as a heel than it would if it were Byron Saxton or Tom Phillips. If it were Tom Phillips and Byron Saxton, I don't think anybody would really give a shit. Yeah, they'd be like, oh, I think what you're talking better for baby faces. I mean, like you pointed out with The Rock doing that to Coach, all those other guys, that was more when he was like, yeah, beat these nerds up. Where with Jerry Lawler, to me, more of a heel moment for Nikki because Jerry Lawler is still so over with the crowd. He's a legend. Yeah, he needs to get the fuck off of commentary and retire already or be a road agent or some shit like that. No, not a road agent. That would be terrible. He'd be booking his son like for every match.
Yeah, but
Brian Lawler, WWE champion.
But honestly, here's my rebuttal to that. You said it yourself. A lot of Jerry chants. Is that what we were supposed to be focusing on? The fact that Jerry Lawler was in there trying to break them up, dry humping Nikki Bella, pretty much. No, I think it took a lot away from what was supposed to be the primary focus, and that is the Bellas. And I also think that had Nikki Bella slapped the shit out of Tom Phillips, out of a Byron Saxton, I think it'd be just as good, if not better, for the heel status because it's like, hey, what did this guy do? What did he do to you? It's just lonely old Byron Saxton. I feel bad for the guy.
I think that'd be more humorous.
Well, no,
I think that'd be more humorous.
I would say I think it would be better as a heel because I'm saying Byron Saxton hasn't done anything. He's just a mindless. You know what I mean? I'm looking for a word I'm not going to find, but he's just an innocent guy there. I would sympathize more with Tom Phillips or Byron Saxton than I do with Jerry Lawler. Jerry Lawler is a wrestler. If he gets slapped in the face, he's had much worse happen to him in the past. A guy like Tom Phillips or Byron Saxton getting slapped, it's like, oh shit, like Michael Cole.
Well, you could also talk the sympathy card for Jerry too. People are like, oh shit, why you bastard in the face before he can't handle it. He's gonna have another heart attack. Poor Jerry, he's just in there trying to do this segment. You're just gonna slap him. You're gonna scream at him.
Well,
he didn't do anything wrong.
Here's a good interjection from Aaron Mason on YouTube, and I think he's actually gonna settle it for us right here. He says, I think it would have been even better if it was Renee Young. Imagine Nikki slapping Renee.
Oh, wow. Yep.
That would have been awesome.
You win. Yep, that would have been the perfect addition. Yep,
You're
because
right.
she's over with the IWC. She's over with the fans. People love her. She's got that cuteness about her. And then
And
you throw her
she's a
in, she's a
female.
baby face, so everybody loves her.
Exactly.
And she's a female. Exactly. There would have been way more sympathy. Aaron Mason, you just ended this part of the show. Congratulations, you finally shut us up. You win. Awesome comment. I completely agree with you. So moving on, finally, getting very late. I want to quickly touch on what you guys think about. We got to try to do this quickly because we are running out of time and places.
We're in overtime once again. Only Rope Break does this type of stuff.
Only Rope Break.
We are in overtime. Really quickly, what do you guys think about the Seth Rollins, I guess you'd call it a eulogy for Dean Ambrose? I actually enjoyed the segment itself, but I'm more interested. I mean, you guys can give your quick opinions on the segment, but I'm more interested to see what you guys think about a pop Rollins. I think it could be. I think the word that I use was promising. I think there's a lot of be good, but I think it has promise. What do you guys think?
Say that again. You were talking about Rollins promo?
No, no. Jesus. Off.
No, your mic cut out.
Yeah,
You
your
said
mic keeps
you
cutting
said
out.
you said Rollins
Oh
something,
my
and I didn't catch what you
God.
said.
What? What? Oh, my fault. I apologize. What a jabroni. What I was pretty much just saying. I enjoyed Seth Rollins' little eulogy for Dean Ambrose, but I'm more interested to know. And like I said, you guys can give your opinions on this. I'm more on eulogy, but I'm more curious to know what you guys think about a possible. I don't even think it's possible. From what I read, they've been already doing this at house shows. A Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins feud going into Night of Champions. I don't think it's, the word I use is promising. I don't know that it's going to be good, and I don't know that it's going to be bad. Anything with Seth Rollins has the potential to be great. I'm worried about Roman Reigns. He's losing steam with fan base. I don't know what everybody else is thinking. I'm kind of losing faith in him. I'm not too interested in what he's doing anymore. I honestly, to be quite frank, I don't give a shit about Roman Reigns anymore. Unless he does something impressive, unless he stops using, and I'm even going to say it, and I'm going to what he's starting to do. He's reminding me of Cena, and that's really, really turning me off. And with that being said, it's worrying me. I think he's still on the fence for me, but I'm not really interested in what he's doing. When they say, oh, here's Roman Reigns, I'm kind of like, I don't really care anymore. But a Seth Rollins feud could be what he needs to pick, could be what he needs to get me interested to pick him back up again. Like I said, it has promise. I'm wondering what you guys think.
I'll speak on it real quick, and then we'll let Randy have the last word on this one, since we kind of went back and forth for a while on that last topic. I'm gonna say that I think I agree with you. The feud could be promising. I think that it's going to be built pretty well, just for the fact that, one, you have the Shield connection there. Two, the fact that Ambrose was taken out by Rollins, I think it does a lot for Roman Reigns, because Ambrose was arguably, top two baby faces in the company until he was written off, and now you've got Reigns ready to avenge, what happened to his friend. And I think you're going to have everybody that felt sympathy for Ambrose, who maybe didn't really care for Reigns quite yet, is going to jump on the Reigns bandwagon from there. I think it'll benefit him that way. I think that Rollins will carry Reigns as far as in the ring goes. And I think, too, I'm not sure if you guys got a chance to check it out, but on on WWE Network, last week they debuted the Road to SummerSlam documentary with 3 members of the Shield. That's an absolute must-watch. You got to check that out. And I think that right there that documentary adds to what could be the build for this feud, because it was very interesting to see their 3 perspectives, and it really pinned Reigns and Ambrose as really close friends, and Rollins more as an outsider. And now that Ambrose is gone, Reigns is going to slide right in there, and this is giving the roots for a Reigns versus Rollins feud down the road with the title involved. And what I want to point out is, last year we had a roots feud between Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan. Remember when they were kind of tagging for a few there with Kane and Orton, and Daniel Bryan was the weak link, and he was out to prove himself, had some great matches with Randy Orton. They kind of made the roots there for a feud, and it eventually grew into what happened after SummerSlam with them. I think right now Rollins and Reigns have the opportunity to plant the seed, to start those roots for what could be a huge feud around WrestleMania season or shortly after next year.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. It's like I said, it's got promise, and I feel like it definitely is going to be really interesting. I was actually excited to see Reigns, and I agree with you, transitions perfectly. But Randy, what do you think about this?
Actually, the whole feud between the three guys from the Shield is actually fucking brilliant, in my opinion. Uh, I would love to see, like, I understand that they're probably gonna take Ambrose off TV for a while because he's got to film that new movie, but I would love to see Ambrose come back right before WrestleMania, with the road to WrestleMania, and then have it set up like you said, have them plant the seed and have it sprout, like have the roots, you know, uh, build up for a Rollins versus Reigns versus Ambrose at WrestleMania 31. That would be so awesome in my opinion because it would honestly give all three guys a chance to show the reason why they started the Shield in the beginning and the reason why they're against each other now. Um, my whole thing with Reigns is I agree that he is losing steam. He's losing momentum because it's just like the Daniel Bryan thing. They they took Daniel Bryan and they built him up and built him up and built him up, and then after WrestleMania he lost the titles, and then he just the Yes Movement died, and then he's losing momentum because he's off TV with this injury, and then they've got Ambrose coming out as a babyface, and then they take him off TV for the movie, and then they've got Reigns versus Rollins, and that would be it's going to be a pretty interesting feud between the two, and then Ambrose comes back, continuing the feud with Seth Rollins, and Reigns comes in, and then we've got two baby faces and then a heel, and then all of a sudden Ambrose turns heel or Reigns turns heel, and we've got one baby face versus two heels, what have you, and then they just throw all three of these guys in like maybe not the main event, but like the second match to the main event of WrestleMania for the three guys to get in the ring with each other. I think that would be so awesome. I mean, I know a lot of people would agree with me on that because the three guys from the Shield, I mean, they were like brothers, and then now they're fighting against each other, and then it's pure magic. It really is. It's like the best thing about the WWE right now, in my opinion, is the Shield fighting against each other.
I actually clamored for that match to happen at this year's WrestleMania. I wanted to see them break up before WrestleMania, and I wanted to see them feud over the Intercontinental Championship in a triple threat ladder match. Didn't happen. But Aaron Mason on YouTube, again, putting in some very good work here. He says, I wouldn't like a Rollins and Reigns feud, and here's why he said this. He makes a pretty solid point. He says, to me, that's a Cena versus Bryan 2.0. You've got an amazing technical wrestler versus a 5 moves of doom. And I'm assuming that he thinks Reigns would go over there and, kind of, in a way, bury the better technical wrestler there. I'm not sure I can disagree, but I think this would be definitely better than Cena versus Bryan, just for the fact that Reigns hasn't been around and stuffed down our throats for 12 years. I'm not saying that to hate on Cena. I just think that Reigns is a little bit fresher right now.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, but I think it would be interesting. I believe Rollins said something to the effect of the reason he chose Ambrose for the Shield was because he's willing to take a hit or something to that effect. Am I close with that? I can't remember exactly what he said,
so.
But he's willing to take a beating. And I think that could really play well if they go into WrestleMania 31 and Dean Ambrose or Roman Reigns wins the title, and then Seth Rollins comes in with the briefcase. And instead of them fighting over it, Roman Reigns lies down for him, and they come back, and Ambrose comes in as well and takes out Triple H, whatever the deal may be. I don't know. There's a lot of variables, but I would love to see the Shield not reunite as coming back together as the Shield, but already because it would play into Dean Ambrose is willing to take a hit, like he took this hit for the betterment of the Brotherhood kind of deal. I don't know. I think that could be to Rollins staying heel post WrestleMania 31. Just some bullshit booking. I'm sure somebody will be like, "Oh, that's stupid," and come up with a completely way better scenario. But that's just off the top of my head. Anywho, we're really running out on time. I'm interested, like I said, in this feud. I loved it. Um, and I agree with Randy. The Shield, and I was thinking about this during the Fuels right now, if not the best stuff going on right now in the WWE. I'll even say that I agree with Randy. The best guys. These guys, I could say these two guys are the future. I'm not trying to be a Reigns hater, but I'm not liking the way he's being packaged right now.
I agree with you.
Ambrose and Rollins right now are looking to be pretty solid. At least one for IC, and then Ambrose I could see in the Intercontinental. Rollins, WWE, Reigns. Anyway, that's for a topic for a different story. We really need to move on. I want to quickly, and when I say quickly, I mean like as fast as you can, give your opinion. I know it's hard, but and I'll try to wrap it up. The main event match. I'll give you my opinion in a couple of words. I know people are probably in shock right now. Matt Donato saying something in only a couple of words. The main event to me was bullshit. I didn't necessarily mind Bray Wyatt versus Cena. I didn't think it was going to be a match, but then they had to ruin it and throw in. I didn't think it was a good match to begin with, but then they had to go in and save face by bringing in Big Show, or by bringing in Rowan and Harper, and then Big Show and Mark Henry, which is confusing me because I thought Henry was with Rusev, as I said earlier. I thought in one word, the main event to me was a clusterfuck. It was so much shit going on. None of it got anybody over. I mean, what Harper again by making him tap? He didn't accomplish anything. He doesn't look any tougher. Nobody really got over in this segment.
Exactly what it did was, and I don't agree with them having it be at the Wyatt family's expense. But they can't afford to do that just because it looks like they're going to put them in a feud with Big Show and Mark Henry, and they'll probably squash the shit out of Big Show and Mark Henry. But what it does, and this was really a lot of backlash on Twitter about this, about how does that finish help anybody in that scenario. What it does is it builds Cena up. And people are saying, we don't need Cena to be built up. Yeah, you kind of do, because he just got his ass whooped in 16 German suplexes. What they're doing is building Cena to a believable rematch. So basically, if Cena gets a couple wins these next few weeks on Raw, people might think, oh, Cena's back, he's ready to go. And then it's believable that he might have a chance against Brock Lesnar. If he comes out here and loses, or he wins by disqualification or whatever, if he's not in the main event fall somehow, then there's no reason to believe that he has any chance against Brock Lesnar. I disagree with them having it have to be who it really should have been. It should have been Rowan and not Harper, because I think Harper's the better of the two, and there's no need to have him tap. You could have had Rowan tap, but even with the Wyatts in there at their expenses, at least it wasn't Bray. That's all I'm thankful for.
Well, I don't feel like, I get where you're coming from. Yes, him having a victory on Raw would definitely build him up. But to me, having a victory over Rowan or Harper isn't building him up, period. I mean, he's already beaten Bray Wyatt. So what does that accomplish if he's beaten two guys who are worse than Bray Wyatt? You see what I'm saying? That doesn't build him up any more than he already built. I get, yes, he's got a victory after losing, but I don't agree with who he faced. I think a victory over Bray would have been a little bit better, I know, because we don't want to hurt Bray. I just thought the whole booking was stupid. I mean, I wouldn't have minded that match, but, I mean, you have two guys you're trying to build up. Why would you put them together in one match? It doesn't make any sense. Obviously, you have to have some stupid false finish. I mean, there are plenty of other guys he could have wrestled. I mean, shit. They could have had him wrestle, I don't know, Mark Henry. It's not like they're doing anything with him. Nobody wants to see Big Show and Mark Henry tag team. I know I don't.
Well, Mark Henry's a face, though.
Who gives a shit? Who cares? I don't.
I think they were in a tough spot there.
I'm just, you're right. I mean, yeah, I don't want to see it. it is tough because there aren't a lot of guys that are big on that roster that they could have put him up against. I mean, they could have had him do like they could have had like I don't know because Brock Lesnar is kind of he's not Paul Heyman's like an authority guy kind of now, not in the sense where he's siding with
It should have been Kane.
Blake.
Let's just leave
So
it
they
at
could have done
that.
something.
It could have been Bandow for all I give a shit.
I think that we're going to throw it over to Randy in a second because I can already tell he's chomping at the bit to get his emotion out, his aggression out. But just really quickly, Kane would have been a little bit better. I think they could have done it where the Authority doesn't want John Cena to have his rematch, especially since Triple H was the one to announce it. Triple H could have thrown like 3, 4, 5, 6 guys out there and had Cena won. Even if they're jobbers, 5, 6, 7 guys is kind of impressive if he can beat them. It's better than making one guy tap out after he's already beaten him countless times. It's not really that, to me, not impressive, and I still don't think they really accomplished anything in this match. But Randy, what do you think?
I only have like a few things to say about the whole main event thing. I mean, they started it out at the beginning of the show saying it was going to be Cena versus Bray, and I get that. Cena's beaten him countless times. Bray's only gotten over on him once, and it was because of a child to begin with, and it was a bullshit match, totally. And then what got me is the fact that it was Cena versus Bray, and then Luke Harper and Eric Rowan got in there, and then it cut to commercial break, and then it came back, and then the Big Show and Mark Henry came out to help Cena out, and then it cut to commercial break, and then we have a 6-man tag match. I was like, what the hell am I watching? Because it killed the whole show for me, man. Like, I was enjoying it like I said, I want to give it like a C+, the whole show. I was enjoying it a little bit, and then they threw in that 6-man tag at the very end of it, and I was like, I hate the WWE for whenever they do this kind of stuff because it shows it gives absolutely nobody a chance to be put over except for Cena because he's Super Cena, and of course he's going to get over every fucking time. And I get that, and I get the fact that they're trying to build him up after losing to Lesnar. But this one thing that I want to say about the match at SummerSlam, I'm sorry to go off subject here, but the Cena that fought Lesnar back 2 years ago at Extreme Rules was not the same Cena that fought Lesnar this year at SummerSlam. And I was like, after seeing that, I was like, I don't even know what they were trying. I get the fact that they were trying to build up Brock Lesnar after beating The Undertaker at WrestleMania to have him build up as this big guy that cannot be touched, can't be beat, all kinds of shit like that. But the main event was total garbage, in my opinion. The Cena versus Bray, I could have been happy with Cena coming over and beating him again, and then the show going to an end, but them turning it into a 6-man was a complete waste of time. Nobody, like you said, nobody wants to see the Big Show. Nobody really wants to see Mark Henry, and I mean, I don't understand the point of it. And then it went off, and I was like, I'm done, because we started the Google Hangout like right before the show ended, and me and Matt were sitting there talking about it, and I was like, why did they have to end the show that way? But that's how I feel about it. I think it was crap, but I mean, I don't understand what they even did with that. Why did they have to have it turn into a 6-man tag? And then Cena comes out over Eric Rowan, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan should not have interfered. It should have just been Cena over Bray, and I would have been fine with that. And I wouldn't have lost any sleep over it, but I don't understand why they had to do it like that. It was complete crap in my opinion. But yeah,
I have to agree with you. I think we're all kind of on the same boat. I mean, Aussie's a little bit more conservative about it, not as angry as we are at the bullshit. I didn't think it was a great way to end the show. I thought it was a shitty way to start the show, shitty way to end the show.
I agree
Not
with
really
that.
doesn't really call for a good Raw when you start the show and you're like, oh, this shit sucks, and then you end the show and you're like, oh, this shit sucks.
And then at the beginning, when Cena came out right as soon as Hogan was talking, and then Hogan threw his arms up like, "Oh God, here we go again." That's how I felt. Right at the very end, I was like, "Oh God, here we go again." You know, I felt the way Hogan looked at the beginning of the show.
I'll say this. I'll say that I didn't like the ending of the show. I didn't like the beginning of the show. I see why they had Cena win. I know why they had Cena win. And I understand that. But the show sucked.
Yeah.
I did not like it. As far as my letter grade, I'm going to give it an F. With that being said, it is only, we've got a long time. We've got a month before Night of Champions, and it's like I always say to you guys, it's meant to be a slow burn to the pay-per-view. So this episode of Raw, not good, no bueno. Expect next week's to be just a little better, and then the following week a little bit better than that, and then eventually when we get to the go home, that's when we're supposed to climax before the load is shot at Night of Champions.
Oh my God, this show is not peachy. So I mean, with that being said, like I said, I gotta agree with you guys. Randy Hill gave it a C plus, and I give it actually a B, and I'll tell you why. I give it a B for absolute bullshit.
There you go. There you go.
No, I gotta, man. I'll give it a D minus just because there were a few segments that I didn't completely hate, but I'm being very generous. I didn't think it was a good Raw either. I was kind of annoyed by it.
It was a C plus show all the way up until the main event. Then it just dropped to an F. It was crap. It was barely holding on to a C plus, and then the 6-man tag freaking ruined it. Ruined the whole damn show.
I completely agree with that, Randy. And that right there, we have gone into overtime, guys. We've gone way into overtime, but like Aussie said earlier, that is what we do here at Rope Break. Just for you guys. We stay up late for you guys, and we want to thank all the viewers that tuned in live, and we want to thank all the viewers who tune in post being live. With that being said, this has been React After Raw. Aussie's new show, go check it out. It's available on Rope Break Wrestling's YouTube channel and the Talkin' Wrestling Network. So go check them out, our partners. Go check out the Sharpshoot on YouTube. It's honestly a great show.
It's not a 4 out of 10.
Right there.
It is not a 4 out of 10.
It's not a 4 out of 10. No. I'm not just saying that because he's sitting right there. Yes, yes I am. No, it really is a great show. Go check it out. And also, take out your calendars and mark down this date. August 29th, 2014. You're probably thinking to yourself, what does that mean? Don't worry about it. Circle that date. You're going to want to remember that date because that's when Before the Bell hits. And if you're wondering, what the hell is Before the Bell? You're going to have to wait and find out. It's part of the revolution, and either you're in or you're out. And if you're out, then we got 2 words for you. Rope break.
Rope break.
Guys, this has been React After Raw. Thank you for tuning in. As always, that is the man, the myth, the legend, Aussie. That is the man that needs no introduction. That is Randy Hill. And I am your guest host, filling in for the always classy but never sassy Alex Kozubsky. Who am I kidding? He's always sassy. Who could not be here with us this evening, and he sends his apologies. I am your guest host, Matt Donato. Thank you so much for tuning in. Check us out next time on React After Raw.